This market continues to be crazy. Capital C crazy. Very, very few homes on the market. Still a whole bunch of buyers in the market. Everybody's trying to get ahead of the rates going up. And every house seems to have multiple offers. So, how do we get your offer near the top of the list? There are some ways that you can put yourself ahead of the game. Let's talk about those because you're going to need some help in this market. This is Steve, real estate agent with the Malone Realty Group with EXP here in the Atlanta area. All right, so as we talked about, record low inventory coming February out of March. We're recording this in March of 2022. So you have record low inventory. We have a whole bunch of buyers in the market right now. Just about everything that goes on the market is having multiple offers, and by multiple offers we mean like dozens of offers on it. In some of the hot spots and some of the hot price ranges, we're talking about still close to 100 offers on these homes. So there's got to be ways that we get ourselves at the top of the list. So there are 5 things. Okay, we did a top 5 list earlier this year. We're kind of ramping it up and changing it right now. I want to start this out by saying, if you're kind of in the market right now, don't bother. All right, this is not your market. I hate to say it. I've had some buyers that were kind of in the market, kind of not in the market, and I had to tell them, we can't do this right now. Okay, this is not your market. You have got to be ready to get in there, and it's not pretty, but we got to be ready to go at it. And every time we see a house, we got to be ready to be in there with multiple offers. There's no beating multiple offers. There's no any of that. Every house, if it looks nice, it's going to have multiple offers. We got to be ready for it. So the first thing before you even go through these top 5 is, are you really in the market? If you are really in the market and you're ready to rock and roll, let's go get that house, then here we go. Here's the 5 things, okay, that we can do to get you ready. So number 1 is a very strong pre-qualification, okay? We've got to get you with a lender and get you a strong pre-qualification. Now, by strong, we mean, we either need to have, at the very least, it needs to be fully pre-approved, fully underwritten. And we have some lenders that we work with that do that ahead of time. They fully underwrite the loan, so that way when we put in the offer, we can say there's no financing contingency. We basically say this loan is good to go. We just need an address and we need a number. That's all we need. But everything is good to go. We need to get that fully underwritten. But a lot of times, people still want to have a cash deal. So if you have cash, great. If you don't, there are programs that our team works with our lenders, that can actually turn your loan into a cash offer. Some restrictions apply, some fees apply, but it is something that we're able to do. As we talked about, though, at the very least, we need to get you with somebody who will fully underwrite the entire loan, so that way we can say no financing contingencies. They're ready to go. All right. So number 1, strong pre-qualification. If you're not pre-qualified, strong, there's no point even going and looking at the house, because if you like the house, you're not going to get it unless you're ready to rock and roll. All right. Number 2, appraisal gap coverage. As we look at stories from all across the country, this is the big one. Okay, this is the one that is winning the deals. We either have to waive the appraisal contingency, or we got to come with a crazy amount of appraisal gap coverage, because a lot of these homes are selling for way over asking price. And the appraisal is supposed to kind of keep everything in line, but with the market being where it is what it is. People say, let's say, for example, you're selling a house for, just to make the math easy, $500,000. Okay, so you're selling a house for $500,000. You get 30 offers ranging anywhere from 500 all the way to 550. Maybe you have one that's even 575, let's say. All right, so you go with the 575. The appraiser comes in. What's the appraiser going to say? The appraiser is not going to say the house is worth 575. It's probably somewhere close to 500. So they'll probably say like 510, 520. So then you got to bring it all the way back to 520, right? Sellers don't want to do that. And the buyers are saying, look, we'll cover some of that. So some of them are completely writing off the appraisal contingency and saying, look, what we can do is, we'll bring extra cash. So how are they doing? Number 1, they may use 401k money. They may just use some of their money in savings. If they were doing 20% down, they can change their loan before they go in and say, let's do 10% down, and I'll hold 10% as cash to do the appraisal gap. So if there's a gap of, let's say, $50,000, we can cover that. So we can do stuff like that. So even if you do an appraisal contingency, if you come with a very strong gap coverage of 25,000, 30,000, 40,000, something like that, that's going to get the seller's attention. Okay, but there are a lot of people who are just waiving the whole thing, waiving the appraisal contingency because they're just bringing a whole bunch of extra cash to the deal. Yeah, it's crazy. I wish there was a better way around it, but I mean, right now that's what people are doing. So we have to be prepared to come with some kind of appraisal gap as we go forward, some kind of way of saying, look, if it doesn't appraise, we'll bring a little bit of money. All right, that's what the market demands right now. Number three, we got to remove any other contingencies. Okay, we're not asking for anything. We're not asking for any kinds of fixes to the house ahead of time. If we have time to do an inspection, we may ask for stuff if it's catastrophic. But like off the top, we're not asking for anything. Right? Number one. Number two, if you're selling a house, good luck. I hate to say it. In the old days, you could buy a house while selling a house, even if the house is under construction. Right now, there's enough offers with people without contingencies that it's hard to even get looked at right now. So if you are selling a house, what may make the most sense is to sell your house and get a temporary lease back, which we'll talk about in just a second. But you'll get a temporary lease back or a temporary occupancy in your house of a couple months. That way you'll have cash in hand, and then you can go shopping for the next house. And you can go in there and say, I don't need to sell a house. It's already sold. I'm just ready to move in, as soon as you want. So that's the thing. We got to remove all contingencies. And yes, in the good old days and in a normal market, can you sell a house to buy the next house? Yes. Okay. Especially if it's under contract. If it's under contract, go buy the house. It's like it's under contract. Great. In this market, that's hard. That is way hard. Is it impossible? Can't say that. Is it close to impossible? Yes. I'll say that. So if you're selling a house, we need to talk about, again, we have programs where you can buy the house first and then sell your house. Again, restrictions apply, fees apply to those. However, it's something that we are doing with our people. Okay. So keep that in mind. We want to make it as clean of an offer as possible. So we got to remove all contingencies. Number four, we had to go very, 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 very short due diligence period. We may want to think about going like as is and doing like a 1 or 2 day due diligence period. Some people are doing a complete like waiving of the due diligence period. They won't even do an inspection. Just I'll take the house. So personally, I'm not a big fan of that. I like to have a look at the house by a professional, by an inspector. Okay. Some people are saying, I don't care. The house looks great. We need to get the house. Let's go. In this market, I completely understand that too. I can see both sides of that. Myself personally, I will never say to anybody, hey, why don't we waive the inspection of this house and let's just win it? If you say to me, we're willing to waive it, I'm down with it. But you'll never hear me say that first. How's that? Is that fair? Is that politically correct? Was that politically fair? The reality is, there's some houses, and we've all walked in them. There's some houses where it's like, all right, this house, it needs an inspection, or I'm not buying it. There's some houses that are like, it's like a 10-year-old house. Everything looks fine. I'd love to get an inspection, but if you say I don't want an inspection, let's roll, and I go through it, and I've seen hundreds of houses. I've seen mold. I've seen termite damage. I've seen cracks in the foundation. I've seen it all. I'll say I've seen almost all. So if I go through and I'm like, it's a 10-year-old house, let's roll, and you're okay with it, I'm all right with that. But there are some houses that are like a 1973 build, and that basement smells funky, and it's like, all right, we're going to inspection on that. So it all depends on the house too. That being said, let's say you want to get a due diligence period, you want to get an inspection, we're going to make that period short. We're going to do like a 2-day or a 3-day due diligence period. Get somebody out there super fast, and we're likely going to be buying it as is. I just want to do an inspection to be sure that there's nothing catastrophic wrong with it, and I want to protect your money going forward. So just be ready for that, though. We're going to do a very short due diligence period, and that due diligence period is really only to be used for an inspection. It's not to be used to walk away in case you change your mind. Okay, so we may even call it a right to ask for repairs, or might just like a right to inspect kind of thing, and not necessarily due diligence period. But people, they just want to sell their house. They want to know that there's not going to be any headaches. So we're going to do that. We're going to make it very short, or even waive it if that's what you say. All right, so that's number 4. Number 5, And we talked about this a second ago, free lease back or temporary occupancy. You prefer a temporary occupancy from a legal perspective. Basically what it means is I'll buy your house, and you know what, Mr. Seller, I'll even let you live there for a month, 45 days, 60 days for free until you can figure out what you want to do. That's winning a lot of deals too. People are doing all those things. Okay, but the temporary lease back, it stinks. I'm not a big fan of having somebody live in my house for free. But at the same time, I'm a big fan of my people getting houses. And right now, that's kind of one of the things you have to do is to do the temporary lease back. But that being said, if you sold your house and you're looking to buy the next house and they said to you, hey, you can live there for 2 months for free while you look for your house, does that put you to the top of the list? That's one of the things I want you to think about. If I'm selling my house in this market where everything is bananas, what do I want to see on that offer to sell a house to somebody? That's what we're going to put on the next offer. Okay, so again, top 5 things right now in March of 2022, in the middle of the craziest market we've probably ever seen. We want a strong pre-qualification, turn into a cash deal if possible. If not, we want a 0-day financing contingency. We want to be as strong as possible. If you're not at that point, there's no point looking at the house. You're not going to get it, just point blank. Number 2, appraisal gap coverage. Can you bring some additional appraisal gap coverage? Okay, if you can't, does that mean you're going to lose out on the house? I'm not saying 100%. It does not make you as strong of a buyer than if you just waive the appraisal contingency. So keep that in mind. We want to figure out some way to cover some of the appraisal gap, right? Number 3, we want to remove any contingencies at all. So we already talked about financing and appraisal. We're talking about like I need to sell to buy. I'm asking for the air conditioner to be fixed. Nothing. We're not asking for any contingencies. We're just going to buy the house, period. Number 4, very short due diligence period, if any at all, because we want the seller to be comfortable knowing that we're the one that's going to buy the house. We're not going to be a pain. We're going to get you to closing. And number 5, free lease back or temporary occupancy afterwards. These are all crazy items that people are throwing into their offers. And believe it or not, with all the offers that are out there, if you did all those things, if you did a strong pre-qualification, if you had the appraisal gap coverage, you removed all the contingencies, very short due diligence period, and you did a temporary lease back, you still could be losing because somebody just comes in higher. So maybe that's number 6. Maybe I forgot to say that. Number 6, bring it. All right, bring the hammer when putting in these offers, okay? If they're asking for 350 or 400, we're not going to come in at 350 or 400. We have to go higher, okay? Some of these houses are going 5 to 10% higher. Some are going even higher than that, okay? Each area is different. Each price point's different. We'll look at each one as it comes. That being said, if it just came on the market and it's 350 and you're approved at 350 and you say maybe they'll take 350 and it looks really nice, it's not going to be 350. Okay, if you're at 350 and you're looking for a really nice house, we're going to go for 300, and we're going to offer 340, 350 for it, and then let it ride from there. That's the way that we're going at it right now. But again, and really right now, if you're looking at 350 and you see something as 375 and you think to yourself, I wonder, it's like, there's no need to wonder. Not right now, not in this market. Now, maybe later this year, once the rates really go up, I think things are going to quiet down a little bit. I think we're going to be in a little more normal seller's market. It's still going to be a seller's market. It's going to be a seller's market for a very long time, but it's not going to be the super bananas market that we have right now. Okay, so there you go. There's your top 5, and I gave you a bonus one. You got to bring it on the offer price. So there you go. Top 5 plus 1. If you have any questions about what's going on right now and you want to strategize, all right, I've been looking, having a hard time, or I'm getting ready to jump in, but I've heard horror stories or whatever. If you want to talk about more specifically, what can we do? Give me a call. 470-233-4409. 470-233-4409. Steve, Malone Realty Group, EXP. Take care. Hey, thanks for watching the video today. If you want more information on what's going on in the real estate market, take a look at some of these videos over here that we've posted, keeping up with what buying, selling, things that are going on in the North Georgia market. But if you want to keep up with everything that we post to our YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down there, bottom right. That way you won't miss out on anything.